Hi, I'm Richard,
I'm Jackie, and we're Early Retirement Wanderlust.
and we're in that awkward time of year between Christmas and New Year, and we've taken some time out to think about where the best places we've visited in our campervan over the course of 2022.
And there's lots of them. So, the last few days, the weather has been pretty diabolical, and it's given us a chance to sit down and reflect on what we've been up to over the last year. Obviously, we've retired and we've moved house, and we've done a significant amount of travel, particularly with us being homeless for quite a few months in the last 14 weeks.
We love our campervan, and we've missed our campervan. We sat down and realised that it's been about 5 or 6 weeks since we stayed in Nelson.
I know, but I don't think we've ever gone that long without staying in Nelson anywhere.
For all the right reasons, because we're trying to sort our house out, and it's Christmas and it's family time, and we've got a really exciting year lined up. But what was really important and what was really lovely is last night we sat down with the photo book and just went through our full set of albums and tried to pick out. We went for the 10 best places that we've been last year in our campervan, and
we narrowed it down to 15, but we decided that was just too many. But we couldn't get it down lower than 12 because we've been to some absolutely spectacular places. So we want to share with you our top 12 places that we visited in Nelson in 2022.
Okay, so number 12 for us is one of our favourite sorts of sites. We like the National Trust sites because you know what you're getting pretty much in the National Trust sites. And we visited a site that we'd never visited before in the Lake District, which is the Eskdale National Trust campsite.
It was a really miserable, wet day, very much like today actually, that we stayed there. But it was still a really great campsite, really friendly staff, and there was a Highland cow in the field behind it. That's why it made my top 12.
And within walking distance, there's 3 pubs, and they potentially have the best showers, I think, in any British campsite we've ever been to.
Number 11 for us, we decided, was a place called Reef Beach on the Outer Hebrides. It's actually on the Isle of Lewis. We visited it while we were homeless in November, and it has got the most amazing white sandy beaches that run for miles.
It felt like we were in the middle of nowhere, and we pretty much were in the middle of nowhere.
And we were the only people in the middle of nowhere.
You can visit it, and it does have a campsite in normal season, and it's a really popular place to go. But when we were there, we were the only ones, and we wild camped just on the edge of the beach.
Yep, and there was public toilets there. I did get very excited because on these public toilets, there was no campsites open. Pretty much anywhere on Lewis, but these public toilets had a shower. I have to say it was probably the skankiest public toilets and showers that I've been in, but we've got a wooden duckboard. The showers were really lovely and hot, so that boosted it to number 11 for us.
So number 10, when we were travelling back from our Alps trip in Europe over the course of the summer, we decided to go a little bit off-piste, and we went back through the Burgundy region of France, which is quite historic, it's quite medieval, and not something that we'd done before.
No, we found a road trip in a Lonely Planets guide that our daughter had bought us of France, and the whole road trip was amazing. But this village, we found the actual village on an app called Park for the Night. We were looking for somewhere to Wildcamp because not many campsites in France are open at that time of year, and this village was just absolutely amazing.
So, Chapaize, in the Burgundy region of France, it's a great little community. It's a tiny hamlet. It's got a couple of restaurants there. It's got a really old medieval church, and it's got free parking for people who are touring in their vans. And it was just a fantastic evening.
It was. We had a really lovely couple of glasses of wine recommended by the French restaurant. Had no idea how much we were going to pay for them because we just said recommend us 2 glasses of red wine, and they were gorgeous. Number 9 is a place called Buckspool Farm Campsite. When we first retired in July, we had 2 weeks travelling around Pembrokeshire while we were waiting to move house. And this was it's not an official campsite. He opens up for the summer. It's in the middle of a farmer's field, but it has access to some beautiful beaches.
It's very us, and it is a farm campsite. So he has a wonderful outdoor shower, which is literally an outdoor shower in a barn. He does have flushing toilets, and it's a field, and there's no way of booking in. There's no way of contacting them. You just got to turn up. It's close to Stackpole.
Yep. The farmer comes round every evening on his quad bike with his 3 dogs. It's £4 per person per night, and he sells bags of logs on the back of his quad bike, and you can just sit and have campfires. It was just very chilled out.
The most wonderful place to get away from it all.
Yeah.
Number 8, we're great advocates of using our van all year round, and in February we went and toured the Cairngorms in Scotland, and it's one of our favourite places any time of the year, but in winter it's amazing. And we wildcamped on the loch side of Loch Morley on the way up to the ski centre.
We thought the road would be really busy because we were literally on the loch side, but it quietened down after about 8 o'clock at night. We were within walking distance of a pub. It was your birthday, actually.
It was.
So we wanted to get out for your birthday. And when we woke up in the morning, there was a sprinkling of snow on the ground by the lake, so it was gorgeous.
It is one of the most beautiful places, and if you like your mountains, it's fantastic. But if you like stuff that's slightly less strenuous, there's loads of forest walks around there, and when the snow was down, it was just beautiful.
Number 7 is a campsite called Seathwaite Farm, which is in the Borrowdale area of the Lake District. We found it by chance because we were looking for somewhere bank holiday weekend, and we couldn't book in anywhere. Everywhere was full, but this campsite said turn up and you can pay £5 per person, I think it was. And the farmer is amazing.
He is one of the most legendary Lake District farmers you can ever come across. And really sadly, some people don't quite know how to read it. And in some of the reviews, they talk about him being grumpy and miserable. And there's none of that. He's just a classic Lake District farmer. He's amazing.
He is amazing. And the campsite, it is very rustic. It's got a toilet block with a couple of showers that are £1 each. The actual toilets are the very old council type toilets run by the National Trust, but it's in a field with gorgeous waterfalls just behind it. The river's really crystal clear blue, and you can swim in it in the summer, and it's on a proper working farm. So we liked it that much. We went twice. We went bank holiday weekend in May, and then we actually went back for our wedding anniversary.
It was lambing season, and if you like your lambs and you want a bit of isolation, there's no phone signal, it's right at the head of the valley, it's cheap as chips. Go with your supplies, make sure that you've got everything you could possibly need, and you'll have a wonderful weekend at the Seathwaite Farm camping. So at number 6, definite proof you don't stick with your original plans. Fate can deal you some wonderful blows. So we were in the Abondance Valley in France, and we thought we'd found a cracking campsite right in the heart of one of the villages there. We went into the tourist information, we were searching for this particular lake, we were told it was right at the top of a mountain pass and that it would be better to drive up there. So we drove up and we managed to stay there above the Valley of Abondance.
Oh, wow. We did the walk that we originally wanted to do. We found the lake, which was a really gorgeous blue lake. It had cows all around it with the great big bells ringing. But it was when we got back to the van and it was sunset, and by luck we had a really, really gorgeous red sky sunset. But as the sun was setting, you could just hear this jingling in the valley, and the jingling got louder and louder. And then we opened the van door and the cows were coming up the valley. There was about 20 of them, and they would just they came right up to the van, didn't they?
Yeah, we were actually parked right on a ski run, and I think what had happened is the cows would be taken down to be milked, and then they were heading back up to the pasture right past our van, and it was just one of the most beautiful impromptu moments that we've had this year in the van. It's a really isolated place. You're camping really high up. You need to make sure that the weather's good and kind to you when you are setting off for something like that, but Abondance Valley.
So number 5 is a campsite on the Lynn Peninsula near Abersock. It's called Towyn Farm. And again, it is a working farm, sheep farm.
Yep, you get woken up by the sheep. There's sheepdogs running around the yard, and you would not think that you were on the North Wales coast.
It's set with lots of little inlets, lots of little coves that you can go to from the actual campsite. You can take your pick of about 5 or 6 different places to take your picnic blanket down and a campfire on the beach and pretty much have it to yourself, even though we were there on another bank holiday weekend. And it's a nice campsite for families. There was a lot of big groups of families because they let you book pictures together if you're there with other groups. There was lots of people having a really great time.
So at number 4, we're going back to the Alps, and we had come down from the high alpine regions, and we were looking for somewhere to stay in the Haute Giffre, I think that's how you pronounce it, region.
We found this one through the ASCII card system. We bought if you travel through Europe, you can buy an ASCII card which gives you access to thousands of campsites at a discount out of season. So we use the card.
And we found this campsite again right at the valley head, miles from anywhere. We couldn't find it on any other apps. It's actually not on Google Maps as well, because we were checking it prior to this video. Camping Pelly at the top of the Haute Giffre Valley. It's
got a fab location. It's got the most gorgeous camp cat. Richard couldn't resist taking a photo of it, and we kept following it around the campsite. Great big furry Persian cat.
He was lovely.
He was.
But as well as my obsession with the camp cat, the campsite is in a forestry location, and it's completely and utterly surrounded by high peaks and huge slab walls that you can't actually go any further. It's at the Swiss border, and there's no road access beyond that to Switzerland. And it was just one of those hidden gems that, again, we stumbled upon, and we're just ever so grateful that we found it.
Yeah, and we'll be back at some point
to see the cat.
So we're up to our top 3, and we've really, really sat and wrangled with which campsites we would have in our top 3. Finally, we decided on a place called Fidden's Farm, which is on the Isle of Mull. It is right at the far side of the island, and it's literally based on a beach. It's another working farm, another sheep farm.
It's been there apparently for donkey's years. It's not an easy place to get to, because you've obviously got to get across to Mull, and then it's a really long drive from the ferry port right to the southern tip, but it is a stunning location.
The sandy beaches are just white with crystal clear blue seas. You could be in the Caribbean. It is absolutely gorgeous, and it's within walking distance, or it's probably about a mile away from the ferry to Iona. So when we stayed there, we did a day trip across to Iona, which was magical in itself. But and it was just it was a lovely campsite because the people were so friendly there, weren't they? There's no set pitches, there's no electric hookup. You pitch where you want, so you can pitch right on the beach side. And as Jackie said, the people, there was just like a really friendly feel about the campsite. I think it's because everyone's worked really hard to get there. It's a long way to go for what is a absolutely beautiful campsite, and well worth the visit. So number 2, I seem to be doing all the European ones, and it's another European one, and it's a Wildcamp that we stayed at that was just next to the ski resort of Courchevel, and it's the Lac du Rosiere. It's not an official campsite, and when we went, it cost us nothing to stay there. In the summer, I believe it's classed as an Aire. Yep, and they charge £10 to get in. But it is the most crystal blue lake we've possibly seen on our travels. You're not actually allowed to swim in it, which was a shame, because it's actually... It looks so gorgeous to just dive in. It's got walkways over the water, and you can look down and you can see the fish swimming. You actually look over the edge of the lake into the valley below, and it is a very, very beautiful and very photogenic place. But what I also really liked is it had all around the grounds around the lake different fire pits and different barbecue picnic areas. They even had a massive, probably would fit 30 people in it, a fire pit area that was under a big cover. So it looked a really good place to go and share staying with friends and families.
It did get quite cold because it's very, very high up. So even in the summer, it was cold. But definitely a place to get to, and cheap as chips.
And probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. So that brings us to our top place that we visited in our campsite, in our campervan, and that is a place called Hushinish on the Isle of Harris, in the Outer Hebrides. It is a community-run facility. The beaches around there again are all just white sandy beaches, crystal clear blue seas, and they've got amazing facilities for £10 a night.
Again, not an easy place to get to. First of all, you've got to get to the Outer Hebrides, but then from the main road, you've then got a single track road for around about 14 miles to a dead end, which is where Hushinish Beach is.
Yep, you even have to drive through the grounds of a castle, so you think you've gone wrong somewhere along the way to get to the beach. But yeah, it's amazing. And again, a herd of Highland cows.
They provided all the facilities, so there was a community meeting area where you could get out of the wet if it was particularly bad weather. There was toilets, there was showers, there was water supply, there was chemical disposal areas. It was just as good as it gets. And
a little bit further up the road, probably about half a mile, they've also set up a little Aire for 5 camper vans that's got electric hookup as well. It's a bit more expensive, I think. It was maybe about £16 a night, but well worth going out of your way. It was stunning. That's why it's our number one.
And we thought we were just going to nip up there for 24 hours, and 2 days later we were still there, and we were having amazing sunrises, brilliant sunsets, all the colours that you could have possibly imagined from the skies, and yeah, that's why it's our number one.
Yeah, we were very lucky. So that was our top 12 places that we have visited in our campervan this year. Believe me, there were many, many more. We found it hard to just get it down to 12.
If you got any top tips of where we definitely need to go, please write in the comments below, because we're always got an ear out for a good place to visit, and we just hope that you get the opportunity, or you get some inspiration from some of the places we've been to do your own travels.
If you want to find out about most of the places that we have mentioned in our videos, a lot of them, particularly the European ones, we have done previous YouTube videos based in and around there, so you could find out more information about them if you watch those.
We've got a few more days in the UK. We've got New Year to come, and we're going to be spending that at our lovely little project in the Yorkshire Dales, trying to get the house warm, and then we are going to be heading off in Nelson to Europe to have a little bit of an experiment of a ski trip.
Yeah, camping in minus degrees for a few nights. Should be fun.
So we're going to do a little compare and contrast. We're going away with our kids, and we've got a really nice apartment in a lovely ski resort, and then we're staying out there for a few more nights using a campsite and seeing whether we can cope with it.